Sung stared at the screen in complete disbelief. The words defeat floated in bright red letters above his head, mocking him. His fleet of starships burned in the digital void while his opponent's forces celebrated their victory. "This cannot be happening," he whispered. Across the room, clapped her hands together with pure joy. Her pale blue skin seemed to glow brighter when she was happy, and right now she was very, very happy. Her silver hair floated slightly, a thing that happened when her species felt strong emotions. "I won," she said. "I actually won against a human at a strategy game." Sung dropped his controller on the couch. He had lived with for 6 months now. The Galactic Cultural Integration Program had matched them as roommates, and for the most part it worked well. She was clean, quiet, and respected his study time. He had learned to accept her strange eating habits and the soft humming sound she made when she slept. But this was too much. "You cheated," he said, though he knew she had not. His large eyes widened with offense. "Do not cheat, we simply think faster than humans." She tilted her head, a gesture she had learned from watching Earth videos. "You agreed to the bet. A bet is a bet." The bet. Sung closed his eyes and tried to remember how this had started. It was simple, really. They had argued about whose turn it was to clean the laboratory space they shared in the apartment. Both of them were science students. He studied xenobiology, the science of alien life forms. She studied something similar from her planet's perspective. The argument had gone nowhere for 20 minutes. Finally, had suggested they settle it like civilized beings. A game. One match of stellar conquest. Winner gets to make one demand of the loser. Sung had felt confident. He had played this game since childhood. He had won tournaments in high school. He had never lost to anyone in his university program. He had lost to in 43 minutes. "Fine," he said, sitting up straight. "What do you want? Extra cleaning duties, first choice of the temperature settings, my dessert rations for a month." Sat down across from him. Her expression changed from playful to serious. She pulled out her holographic notepad, the one she used for her research. "I have been studying Earth species for my academic work, but there is one topic I cannot find clear information about." "What topic?" "Human reproduction." Sung choked on nothing. He started coughing and could not stop for almost a full minute. Watched him with concern, probably thinking he was having some kind of medical emergency. "Are you dying?" she asked. "No," he managed. "No, what did you say?" "Human reproduction," she repeated, as if it was the most normal thing in the galaxy. "I need to understand it for my comparative biology course, but all the materials I find are either too simple or too confusing. I need an expert to explain it to me." "And you think I am an expert?" "You study xenobiology. You study how different species create life. This is your field," she smiled at him. "Also, you lost the bet, so you have to help me." Sung felt his face grow hot. Among humans, this was called blushing. It happened when they felt embarrassed or uncomfortable. Right now, he felt both. This is a very personal topic for humans." "Why?" "Because it involves private things." "Private things?" She wrote something on her notepad. "Interesting. Do not have private things about reproduction. It is simply biology. We release spores, the spores find compatible partners in the air, and new life grows in the community pods. Very simple, very clean." Sung tried to process this. You don't have physical contact." "Why would we need physical contact?" "For, you know." "I do not know. That is why I need you to teach me." She said it with such innocent curiosity that Sung almost felt bad for being embarrassed. To her, this was just science, just learning. She had no idea why humans found this topic difficult to discuss openly. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the city stretched in all directions. Humans and aliens walked together on the streets below. Flying vehicles passed between tall buildings. It was the year 2247, and Earth had become a meeting point for dozens of different species. The integration program was designed to help different species understand each other. Sung and living together was supposed to build bridges between their peoples. He was supposed to teach her about humanity, and she was supposed to teach him about. Maybe this was exactly what the program intended. "Okay," he said finally, turning back to face her. "I will teach you, but we do this my way. We start with the basics, the science, and you do not laugh at anything I say." Nodded eagerly. "I never laugh at science. Science is sacred." "Good." He sat back down, trying to find his confidence. He was a graduate student. He had given presentations to rooms full of professors. He could do this. "When do you want to start?" Pulled out her notepad again. Her fingers moved quickly, pulling up diagrams and charts. "Now is good." "Now." "I have already prepared materials. I found diagrams online, but they make no sense to me. For example, this image." She turned the screen toward him. "Why are there two different body types? And why does this process seem to require them to be so close together?" Sung looked at the diagram. It was a basic biology chart, the kind shown in schools. But seeing it through confused eyes made him realize how strange human biology must seem to an alien. "That is a lot to explain," he said. "Then explain a lot." She pulled up a blank document. "I will take notes. I am an excellent student." Sung took a deep breath. He thought about running. He thought about claiming sudden illness. He thought about moving to a different planet. But a bet was a bet. "Okay," he said. Lesson 1. Humans have two different biological sexes, male and female. This is different from many species in the galaxy, but not unique. About 40% of known intelligent species have similar systems. Wrote quickly, two sexes continue. Each sex has different parts, different organs. These organs work together to create new life. How do they work together if they are in different bodies? Sung felt his face grow hot again. They have to come together physically. Physical contact. Eyes widened. "You mean humans must touch each other to reproduce?" "Yes." "Actually touch, skin to skin?" "Yes." She sat back, looking genuinely shocked. "That seems very inefficient. What if you cannot find someone to touch? What if the person you want to touch does not want to touch you? What if you are alone? Then you do not reproduce." Fascinating. She wrote more notes. "So human reproduction requires cooperation. It cannot be done alone." "Correct." "And this cooperation requires finding a compatible partner." "Yes." "How do you find a compatible partner?" Sung paused. This was where the lesson became complicated, because finding a partner was not just about biology for humans. It was about feelings, about love, about connection. "That," he said slowly, "is a very long answer." Smiled. "Good thing I won the bet then. We have plenty of time." At that moment, Sung realized what he had gotten himself into. This was not going to be one conversation. This was going to be many conversations. Many embarrassing, uncomfortable, impossible to explain conversations. He looked at who waited with her notepad ready, her large eyes full of genuine curiosity. She really did not understand. She was not trying to embarrass him. She simply wanted to learn. Maybe that made it worse. "All right," he said with a heavy sigh. "Get comfortable. This is going to take a while." Adjusted her position on the couch, pulling her legs up beneath her in a pose she had from human movies. She held her notepad like a student ready for the most important lecture of her life. And Sung, a man who had never imagined himself as a teacher of human romance, began to speak. 3 days had passed since Sung lost the bet. In that time, he had prepared materials. He had organized his thoughts. He had practiced in front of his bathroom mirror like a nervous professor before his first class. Now he stood in their living room with a holographic display floating between him and She sat on the couch with perfect posture, her notepad ready, her eyes focused entirely on him. "Today we discuss the basics," he said, trying to sound professional. "Human reproductive biology, the science." "I am ready," said. Sung pressed a button and a diagram appeared in the air. It showed the human body in simple, clinical terms. Nothing embarrassing, just anatomy. "Humans have internal systems that produce reproductive cells," he began. "Males produce one type, females produce another. When these cells meet, new life can begin." "Where do they meet?" asked. "Inside the female body." She wrote this down. "So the male's cells must travel into the female's body. How does that work?" Sung felt his face grow warm. He pressed another button, changing the diagram. "There are specific organs designed for this purpose. The process is called, well, it has many names." "Tell me the scientific name." "Sexual intercourse." Wrote it down without any reaction. "Continue." "During this process, the male and female bodies connect. Cells are transferred. If the conditions are right, one of the male's cells will join with one of the female cells. This creates a new cell that will grow into a baby." "A baby," looked up. "That is what you call your young." "Yes." "How long does this growing take?" "About 9 months." Writing stopped. She stared at him. 9 months. The new life grows inside the female's body for 9 months. "Yes." 9 months. She said it again like she could not believe it. "Spores develop in community pods for 11 days. 9 months that is most of one Earth year." "I know." "The female must carry the growing life inside her body for that entire time." "Yes." "That sounds difficult." Sung nodded. "It is. Pregnancy changes the body. It can be uncomfortable, sometimes painful, and dangerous, especially in old times before modern medicine." Wrote quickly, filling page after page of her notepad. "Your species chooses to do this, even though it is dangerous." "We do not really choose. It is how we are made. It is our biology." "But you could choose not to reproduce. You could avoid the process entirely." "Some humans do, but most want children eventually. It is part of who we are." Sat quietly for a moment. Her silver hair had stopped floating, which meant she was thinking deeply. "I do not understand something," she said finally. "What?" "This entire process requires so much. Finding a partner, physical contact, 9 months of carrying the young. Why would any species develop this way? It seems designed to fail." Sung had never thought about it like that. To him, human reproduction was just normal. It was how things worked. But hearing describe it from the outside, he could see how strange it must seem. "Evolution does not always choose the easiest path," he said. "Sometimes complicated systems survive because they create strong results." "What strong results come from human reproduction?" Before Sung could answer, the door to their apartment opened. His friend walked in, carrying a bag of food from the restaurant downstairs. "I brought dinner," announced. Then he stopped. He looked at Sung. He looked at the diagram floating in the air between them. "What is happening here?" he asked slowly. "Sung is teaching me about human reproduction," said happily. "He lost a bet." His face went through several expressions: confusion, understanding, and then a wide, terrible smile that made Sung want to disappear. "Is that so?" Set down the food and sat on the other end of the couch. "Please continue. I would love to hear this lesson." "You do not need to." No, this is educational. I insist on staying." He crossed his arms, still smiling. "What topic are we on right now?" "We are discussing why human reproduction is so inefficient," said. "I asked what strong results come from your complicated system." Looked at Sung. "Well, answer the nice alien's question." Sung wanted to throw something at his friend. Instead, he took a deep breath and tried to think like a scientist instead of an embarrassed roommate. The complicated system creates strong bonds, he said. The process requires two people to cooperate. They must find each other. They must choose each other. They must work together. And then, when the child is born, they must raise it together for many years. How many years? Asked. Human children need care for at least 15 to 20 years before they are fully independent. Stylus stopped moving. 20 years. Yes. 20 years of active care for each new life. Yes. She turned to, is he lying to me? He is not, said. Human children are completely helpless at birth. They cannot walk, talk, or feed themselves. It takes years for them to learn even basic things. Looked back and forth between them. This is the most inefficient reproduction system I have ever studied. Spores are self-sufficient within 1 month of formation. They require no parental care at all. None, Sung asked. None. The community pod provides everything. The new emerges fully formed and joins society immediately. She shook her head. Your system requires finding a partner, 9 months of internal growth, and 20 years of care. How did your species not die out millions of years ago? It was a good question. Sung had studied many alien species, and most of them had simpler reproduction. Faster, more efficient. The way described it made human biology sound like a design mistake. But humans had not died out. They had survived. They had grown. They had spread across Earth and then across the stars. There must be a reason. The bonds, he said slowly, figuring it out as he spoke. The system creates bonds. What do you mean? When two humans create a child together, they become connected. They share responsibility. They work together for years. This creates loyalty, trust, love. He paused. And those bonds do not just exist between parents and children. They spread. Families form, communities form, societies form. Wrote this down. You are saying your complicated reproduction creates social connections. Yes, humans are not the strongest species. We are not the fastest. We do not have natural weapons like claws or poison, but we work together better than almost any species in the galaxy. We form groups. We protect each other. We fight for each other. Because of reproduction. Because of the bonds that reproduction creates, we learn to love our children, and that teaches us to love others, to sacrifice for others, to build things that will last beyond our own lives. Nodded slowly. I never thought about it that way, but it makes sense. Was quiet for a long moment. Her large eyes looked at Sung with something new in them, not just curiosity, something deeper. Love, she said. You keep using that word. What is love? Sung opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. How did someone explain love? It was like trying to explain color to someone who had never seen. It was like explaining music to someone who had never heard sound. Love is, he tried to find the right words. Love is when you care about someone else more than yourself, when their happiness matters to you, when you would do anything to protect them. But why would you do that? What biological purpose does it serve? That is the point. It does not need a biological purpose. Love exists because we feel it, because it makes our lives better, because it gives us reasons to keep going when things are hard. Wrote this down, but she looked unsatisfied. This does not fit any model I understand. Do not have this. We have cooperation, we have duty, we have community obligation, but we do not have, she looked at her notes, we do not have love. That seems sad, said quietly. Why would it be sad? We are very successful as a species. We have lived for thousands of years without love. But what do you live for? Opened her mouth to answer, then stopped. For the first time since Sung had known her, she looked uncertain. That is a strange question, she said finally. Is it? She did not answer. Instead, she looked back at her notes, reading through everything she had written. The room was quiet except for the soft hum of the holographic display still floating in the air. Sung turned off the display. Maybe that is enough for today. No, said, I have more questions. The food is getting cold, pointed out. Food can be reheated. Knowledge cannot wait. She looked at Sung with determination. You say love makes your lives better, but you also said reproduction is dangerous, that raising children is difficult, that the whole system is complicated and inefficient. How can something so hard make life better? It was the most important question she had asked, and Sung was not sure he knew the answer. Maybe, he said slowly, the hard things are what make it meaningful. Anyone can do easy things, but when you choose to do something difficult, something that costs you time and energy and pain, that choice means something. It shows that you care. Consider this. So love is choosing to do difficult things for someone else. That is part of it. And humans do this regularly. We try to. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she closed her notepad and stood up. I need to think about this. Tomorrow we continue. I want to know more about how humans choose their partners, the selection process. That is a whole different lesson. Then prepare a whole different lesson. She walked toward her room, then stopped at the door. Thank you, Sung. This is very educational. She disappeared into her room. Sung sank into the couch, exhausted. Started laughing. This is the best thing that has ever happened to you. I hate you. No, you do not. You love me. Grinned. See, that is what love is. Putting up with me even when you want to throw me out the window. Sung could not argue with that. 1 week after the bet, Sung came home to find the living room transformed, had covered every wall with holographic screens. Each screen showed a different image, couples walking together, couples holding hands, couples kissing in the rain. What is all this? He asked, standing frozen in the doorway. Appeared from behind a floating screen, her notepad in hand. Research materials. I collected human romantic media from the past 300 years. Films, shows, stories. I believe studying these will help me understand your species better. Sung looked at the screens. He recognized some of the images, classic love stories, modern romance films, even some very old movies from before space travel existed. You want to watch all of these? Not alone, I need your expert commentary. She sat on the couch and patted the spot next to her. Come, we start with this film. It is called something about a notebook. Sung knew he should refuse. He should claim he was busy with his studies. He should make any excuse to escape. But a bet was a bet. He sat down next to her, pressed a button, and the movie began. For the next 2 hours, Sung experienced something he never expected. He watched a romantic film while an alien asked questions every few minutes. Why is she ignoring him? He clearly wants to talk to her. She is playing hard to get. It is a human mating behavior. Why would she make it harder for him? Would it not be more efficient to simply say yes? Humans do not always want efficiency in romance. That makes no sense. The questions kept coming. Did not understand why the characters fought and then made up. She did not understand why they separated for years and then found each other again. She really did not understand the ending. He remembers her even though his mind is failing, said, staring at the screen as the credits rolled. His body is dying, but he still knows who she is. Yes, because of love. Because of love. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was different, softer. That is, not logical. No, Sung agreed, it is not. But it is beautiful. He looked at her in surprise. She was still staring at the screen, but her eyes seemed wet. Could cry. He had never seen her do it before. Are you okay? He asked. I am fine. She blinked rapidly and turned to her notepad. I experienced an unexpected emotional response. This is unusual for my species. I should note it in my research. She wrote something down, but her hand was shaking slightly. Sung pretended not to notice. They watched 3 more movies that night. A comedy about two people who pretend to date and then fall in love for real. A drama about forbidden love between two families. A simple story about two old people who fell in love at a retirement home. With each film asked fewer questions. She stopped writing notes. She just watched. At midnight, Sung finally called for a break. His eyes hurt from staring at screens. His brain hurt from explaining human behavior, but did not look tired at all. "I do not understand something," she said. "Only one thing. One main thing." She turned to face him fully. "In all of these stories, the humans choose partners based on feelings, not logic, not genetic compatibility, not social advantage, just feelings." "That is correct. But feelings can be wrong. You can feel love for someone who is bad for you. You can feel nothing for someone who would be a perfect partner. How do you trust feelings when they can be so unreliable?" It was a question Sung had asked himself many times. He had dated before. Some relationships had ended badly. He had felt strong emotions for people who turned out to be wrong for him. He had ignored good people because there was no spark. "You cannot trust feelings completely," he admitted, "but you also cannot ignore them. Feelings tell us something important about what we want and who we are. Even when they lead you wrong. Even then, making mistakes is part of being human. We learn from them, we grow, we try again." Shook her head slowly. "This is why humans are so confusing. You know your system is flawed. You know it causes pain, but you keep using it anyway. Because the alternative is worse." "What is the alternative?" "A life without feeling anything. A life where every choice is made by logic alone." He thought about the system she had described. No love, no family bonds, just efficiency. That sounds like being a machine. Humans need more than that. Was quiet. Outside, the city lights flickered in the night. A flying vehicle passed by the window, its lights casting moving shadows across the room. "I had a strange thought while watching those films," she said finally. "What thought?" "I thought about how it would feel to be loved like that. To have someone choose me not because I was genetically optimal or socially useful, but because they simply wanted me." Sung did not know how to respond. It seemed too personal, too vulnerable. He had never seen like this before. "Do not choose each other," she continued. "Our reproduction is random. Spores drift and mix without preference or desire. No one is chosen, no one is special. We are all equally average." "That sounds lonely." "I never thought of it that way before." She looked at him with her large, silver eyes. "But now I am not sure." The room felt different now, charged with something Sung could not name. He became aware of how close they were sitting on the couch, how her blue skin seemed to glow faintly in the dim light. "We should get some sleep," he said, standing up quickly. "More research tomorrow." "Yes," stood two. "Tomorrow I want to observe human courtship in person. I found an event called speed dating. I signed us up." "You did what?" "Field research. The films are useful, but I need to see real human behavior." She smiled at him. "You will be my guide, and also my cover. The event is for couples, so I registered us together." "That is." "The confirmation already came through. We attend in 3 days." She walked toward her room. "Good night, Sung. Thank you for the education." She disappeared behind her door before he could argue. Sung stood alone in the living room, surrounded by frozen images of romantic couples on every screen. He thought about the stories they had watched, about love and choice and feeling things that did not make logical sense. He thought about's question, how it would feel to be wanted simply because someone wanted you. He thought about her blue skin and silver hair, and the way she looked at him when she was confused. Then he turned off all the screens and went to bed, telling himself that he was definitely not feeling anything complicated at all. The next morning called him. "I heard you are going speed dating with your alien roommate," said. "How did you hear that?" posted about it on the integration program social network. She called it a field study of human mating rituals. Sung groaned, "This is getting out of control. This is getting amazing. Can I come watch?" "No. I will bring snacks." "Absolutely not." "Too late, I already registered for the same event." Laughed. "See you there, romance professor." The call ended. Sung looked at his ceiling and wondered what he had done in a past life to deserve this. In her room was reviewing her notes from the previous night. She had written many observations about human romance, the irrationality, the emotional risk, the strange beauty of choosing someone without guarantee of success. But at the bottom of her notepad, she had written something else, something she did not fully understand yet. Personal observation. When watching romantic content with subject Sung, I experienced elevated heart rate and unfamiliar emotional responses. Cause unknown. Requires further investigation. She read it again, then added one more line. Hypothesis. May be developing what humans call feelings. This is unexpected and possibly problematic. She stared at the words. Then she closed her notepad and tried to sleep, but sleep did not come easily that night. The speed dating event was held in a large hall in the center of the city. Colorful lights decorated the walls. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Tables were arranged in neat rows, each one designed for two people to sit across from each other. Sung stood at the entrance, feeling deeply uncomfortable in the formal clothes had made him wear. She stood beside him, wearing a human-style dress that she had purchased specifically for this event. The blue fabric matched her skin almost perfectly. "Stop looking so nervous," she whispered. "We are here for science." "I am not nervous." "Your heart rate is elevated. I can hear it." "You can hear my heart." "Ears are very sensitive." She smiled at him. "Do not worry, I will take notes quietly. You just act natural." Before he could respond, an organizer approached them. She was a human woman with a kind smile and a clipboard. "Welcome to multi-species speed dating," she said. "The event is open to all species, so you will meet many different types of beings tonight. Each conversation lasts 5 minutes. A bell will ring when it is time to move to the next table. Any questions?" "Is it normal to feel like running away?" Sung asked. The organizer laughed. "Very normal, have fun." She directed them to their starting positions, was placed at a table on one side of the room. Sung was placed on the other side. They would not be sitting together. "Wait," Sung said. "I thought we were here together." "You are registered as a couple for entry purposes," the organizer explained. "But the actual dating is done separately. You will talk to other people and observe each other from across the room." "That is even better for research," said happily. "I can observe how you interact with potential mates." "They are not potential mates. This is just pretend. Everything is data." Sung. The first bell rang. The event began. Sung's first conversation was with a human woman named. She was pretty and friendly, with long dark hair and a warm laugh. They talked about their jobs, their hobbies, their favorite foods. She seemed genuinely interested in him. But the whole time, Sung kept glancing across the room at. She was talking to a tall alien with green skin and 4 arms. The alien was leaning forward, clearly interested in her. Was taking notes on her holographic pad, asking questions about his species' courtship rituals. "She is your roommate, right?" asked. "How did you know?" "You have been looking at her the whole time we have been talking." Sung felt his face grow hot. "Sorry, she is here doing research. I am just making sure she is okay." "She seems fine to me," smiled, but there was understanding in her eyes. "Good luck with your research." The bell rang. Time to move to the next table. Sung met more people over the next hour. Humans and aliens. Men and women and beings without clear gender categories. Everyone was friendly. Many were interested in him. But he could not focus. Every few minutes his eyes drifted to. She was now talking to a diplomat, were large, muscular beings with thick purple skin and deep voices. This one was leaning very close to, speaking in low tones. Too close, Sung thought. Then he caught himself. Why did he care how close they was sitting? Noticed him looking. She tilted her head in that curious way she had learned from Earth videos. Then she held up her notepad and pointed to it, as if to say, "Do not worry, I am still doing science." But Sung did worry. He worried when the touched's arm. He worried when another alien brought her a drink. He worried when a human man made her laugh. "Excuse me," said the person sitting across from him. "Are you listening to me?" Sung turned back to his current date. He had not heard a word she said. "Sorry," he said, "I got distracted by the blue alien girl. She is my roommate. We are here for research." "Right," the woman stood up. "I think I will find someone who is actually available. Good luck with your research." She walked away before the bell rang. Sung sat alone at his table, feeling like a fool. Across the room, the diplomat was getting more aggressive. He had moved his chair closer too. His large hand was on her shoulder. He was speaking directly into her ear. Looked uncomfortable. Her silver hair was floating slightly, a sign of emotional distress. She tried to lean away, but the followed. Something hot and sudden rose in Sung's chest. Before he knew what he was doing, he was walking across the room. "Excuse me," he said, stepping up to the table. "Is everything okay here?" The looked up. He was twice Sung's size, with arms thick as tree branches. "This is a private conversation, human." "It does not look like a conversation. It looks like you are bothering her. She does not need you to speak for her." Stood up quickly. "Actually, I would like to leave now." She stepped around the table to stand next to Sung. "Thank you for the conversation, but I have collected enough data." The eyes narrowed. "You came here with him, the small human?" "Yes." "Why, what can he offer you? He is weak, slow, fragile." Sung should have felt insulted, but he was too focused on making sure was safe. He stepped slightly in front of her, putting himself between her and the "Humans may seem weak," he said, keeping his voice steady. "But we have survived for millions of years. We have crossed oceans and mountains and the void of space. We do not give up. We do not quit. We do not let go of the people we care about." The laughed. "Pretty words from a pretty species, but words do not win fights. We do not want to fight. We want to leave peacefully. And if I do not let you—" Sung's heart was pounding, that could break him in half without effort, but he did not move. He did not back down. "Then I will find a way to stop you anyway," he said. "Because that is what humans do. We find a way, always." The room had gone quiet. People were watching. The organizers looked nervous, ready to call security. They stared at Sung for a long moment. Then, surprisingly, he laughed again. But this time it sounded different, almost impressed. "You mean it," they said. "You actually believe you could stop me?" "I do not know if I could, but I would try." "Because of her?" Sung glanced back at. She was watching him with an expression he could not read. "Yes," he said, "because of her." They nodded slowly. "I see now why your species conquered so many worlds. Not because you are strong, because you do not understand when to quit." He stepped back. "Take your partner and go, human. I will not stop you." Sung grabbed his hand and led her toward the exit. Her skin was cool against his palm, soft like silk. He did not let go until they were outside the building. They walked in silence for several blocks. The night air was cool. The city lights glittered around them like artificial stars. "You defended me," said finally. "He was making you uncomfortable." "Yes, but you put yourself in danger." She stopped walking and turned to face him. "He could have hurt you badly. Why would you risk that?" Sung thought about the question. He thought about logic and biology and all the science they had discussed. But the answer was not scientific. "Because I did not want you to be hurt," he said simply. even though I am not human, even though I am just your research subject. You were never just a research subject. He met her eyes. You are my friend, my roommate, someone I care about. She stared at him. Her silver hair was floating again, but not from distress this time, from something else. I have been experiencing strange symptoms lately, she said quietly. Elevated heart rate when I am near you, difficulty concentrating when you are talking, a strange warmth in my chest when you smile. Those sound like... I know what they sound like. She looked down at her hands. I did not think it was possible. Do not form emotional attachments. We are not built for it. And yet, she looked up at him. And yet I appear to have developed what you would call feelings, for you, specifically for you. Sung's breath caught in his throat. The city noise faded away. For a moment there was only and the confession hanging between them. You have feelings for me? He asked. I do not know what else to call them. They are illogical, inconvenient, scientifically impossible for my species. She took a small step closer. But they are real, and I do not know what to do about them. Sung should have had an answer. He should have known what to say, but his mind was blank except for one thought. He had feelings too. He had been feeling them for weeks, maybe longer. He had just been too afraid to admit it. Can I ask you something? He said. Yes. If a human wanted to form a bond with would that be possible? His eyes widened. I do not know. It has never been done before. Our biology is very different. Our cultures are very different. It would be complicated. Extremely complicated. Difficult. Incredibly difficult. Sung smiled. I thought you wanted to study human behavior. That is how humans do things. We choose complicated. We choose difficult. We choose things that make no sense because they matter to us. And I matter to you. He reached out and took her hand again. Her cool skin against his warm palm. Two species, two worlds, one connection. You matter to me, he said. His hair floated around her face like a silver halo. Her eyes shone with emotions that her species was not supposed to feel. This is going to cause problems, she whispered. Probably. My academic council will not approve. Probably not. We have no idea if this will work. No idea at all. She squeezed his hand. But you want to try anyway. Sung looked at her. Blue skin, silver hair, large curious eyes full of wonder and fear and something that looked very much like hope. Yes, he said, I want to try. They stood together on the quiet street, two beings from different worlds, holding hands like it was the most natural thing in the galaxy. Maybe it was. 3 months had passed since the night of the speed dating event. 3 months since Sung and had stood on that quiet street and decided to try something that should have been impossible. Now sat at her desk, staring at the holographic screen in front of her. The message from the academic council glowed in pale blue letters. Your research paper, Human Pair Bonding, Inefficiency as Evolutionary Strategy, has been accepted for publication in the Galactic Journal of Xenobiology. The Council commends your thorough analysis and unique perspective on human reproductive behavior. She had done it. Her paper was going to be published across the galaxy. Scientists from 100 different worlds would read her observations about humanity. But sitting alone in her room did not feel excited. She felt something else, something heavy in her chest that she had learned to recognize as sadness. Her paper was complete. Her research was finished. She no longer had an official reason to keep learning from Sung. She closed the message and walked to the window. Outside, the city was alive with movement. Humans and aliens walked together on the streets below, going about their daily lives. She had watched this scene many times over the past months, but now she saw it differently. She saw pairs walking hand in hand. She saw families laughing together. She saw friends hugging and greeting. She saw love everywhere she looked. A knock came at her door. "Come in," she said. Sung entered, holding 2 cups of the sweet drink had grown to enjoy. He had learned exactly how she liked it, warm but not hot, with extra sweetness. "Told me the news," he said, handing her a cup. "Congratulations on getting published." "Thank you. You do not seem happy about it." Took a sip of her drink, avoiding his eyes. "I am pleased with my academic achievement. But—" She set the cup down. "The paper is finished. My research is complete. The integration program will expect me to move to a new assignment soon, perhaps a new roommate, a new subject to study." Sung sat on the edge of her bed. He did not say anything for a moment, just watched her with those warm human eyes that had become so familiar over the months. "Is that what you want?" he asked finally. "It is what is expected." "That is not what I asked." Turned to face him. Over the past 3 months she had learned so much about human expression. She could read his face now, the slight tension in his jaw, the softness in his eyes, the way he leaned slightly toward her as if pulled by gravity. "I do not want to leave," she admitted, "but I do not know how to stay, do not form permanent attachments. We do not choose life partners. We do not build homes with specific individuals. Maybe you could be the first. It would go against everything my species believes." "So—" The simple word hit her like a physical force. "So." Such a human response. Such a human way of dismissing thousands of years of cultural tradition with a single syllable. "You make it sound easy," she said. "It is not easy, but the hard things are what matter, remember. You taught me that." "I taught you that." "During our lessons, you asked me why humans choose difficult paths when easier ones exist. I told you that choosing difficult things shows that you care." He stood and walked to her, stopping just an arm's length away. "I am choosing the difficult thing now. I am choosing you, even though it makes no logical sense, even though it might not work, even though everyone will tell us we are crazy." His heart was pounding. Her silver hair floated around her face, responding to emotions she still did not fully understand. "I have to present my findings to you," she said suddenly. "What?" "My research, the conclusions of my paper. You were my subject, you deserve to hear them first." Sung looked confused, but he nodded. "Okay, present your findings." Picked up her holographic pad and pulled up her paper. Her hands were trembling slightly as she began to speak. "Human reproduction is, by any objective measure, extremely inefficient. It requires finding a compatible partner from billions of possibilities. It requires physical contact and emotional connection. It requires 9 months of internal gestation, followed by 20 years of intensive care for offspring." She scrolled through her data. Compared to reproduction, human reproduction is slower, more dangerous, and far more resource-intensive. There is no logical reason why this system should produce a successful species. Sung nodded, waiting. "And yet," continued, "humans are one of the most successful species in the known galaxy. They have colonized 14 star systems. They have survived wars and plagues and environmental disasters that destroyed other civilizations. They keep expanding, keep growing, keep reaching for new frontiers." She set down her pad and looked at him directly. "My conclusion is that human reproduction is not successful despite its inefficiency. It is successful because of it. The complicated, difficult, painful process of finding love, forming bonds, and building families creates something that simpler systems cannot." "What does it create?" "Purpose," stepped closer to him, "are efficient, but we are also aimless. We reproduce without choosing. We live without deeply connecting. We exist, but we do not truly matter to each other, not the way humans matter to each other." She reached out and touched his face, feeling the warmth of his skin against her cool palm. "Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy. They are not the fastest but they are the ones who fight hardest, the ones who never give up, the ones who cross impossible distances and overcome impossible odds, because they are not fighting for themselves. They are fighting for each other, for the people they love. Tears were forming in her eyes. We're not supposed to cry, but had been doing many things we're not supposed to do. The final section of my paper is a personal reflection, she said, her voice shaking. I was supposed to remain objective, to observe without becoming involved, but I failed. You did not fail. I fell in love. The words came out like a confession. With a human, with you. I came here to study your species, and instead I became part of it. I learned what it feels like to want someone, to need someone, to be afraid of losing someone. Sung took her hand and pressed it against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat, strong and steady beneath her palm. That is not failure, he said. That is the most human thing you could have done. But I am not human. Maybe love is not just for humans. He smiled at her, that warm smile that made her feel things she had no words for. Maybe love is for anyone brave enough to feel it. Looked at him through her tears. This strange, wonderful, stubborn human who had changed everything she thought she knew about the universe. I have a question, she said. Ask it. In your species, when two people decide to build a life together, what happens? What is the process? Sung thought about it. It is different for everyone. Some people have big ceremonies. Some people just decide quietly between themselves. The important thing is not the process. The important thing is the choice. Then I am making a choice. Took a deep breath. I choose you. I choose to stay on Earth. I choose to see what happens when a tries to love like a human, even though it is strange and difficult and completely against everything I was raised to believe. Are you sure? No, she laughed through her tears. I am not sure of anything, but humans taught me that certainty is not required, only willingness to try. Sung pulled her into his arms. She had hugged him before, brief awkward contacts as she learned human customs. But this was different. This was two people holding each other because they wanted to, because they chose to, because the alternative was unthinkable. What do we do now? She whispered against his shoulder. Now we figure it out together, day by day, mistake by mistake. That sounds very human. Is that a complaint? She pulled back enough to look at his face. No, it is the highest compliment I know how to give. Outside the window, the city continued its endless movement. Humans and aliens living together, working together, slowly learning to understand each other. 1 year later, his paper was still being cited across the galaxy. It had started a new field of study, emotional xenobiology. Scientists from dozens of species were now researching the role of love in species development. But was no longer focused on research. She was focused on living. She and Sung had moved to a larger apartment, visited every week, usually bringing food and terrible jokes. The integration program had written papers about their relationship, calling it a model for cross-species cooperation. Wrote one final letter to her. Not an academic paper, but a personal message to anyone who might listen. I came to Earth to study how humans reproduce. I stayed to understand why they bother. The answer, I have discovered, is the same for both questions. Because the illogical, inefficient, inexplicable act of loving someone is the only thing in this universe worth building a life around. Humanity's greatest adaptation is not their resilience, their creativity, or their stubbornness. It is their willingness to be hurt and to reach out anyway, to risk everything for the chance of connection, to choose someone and keep choosing them every day, even when it is hard. I have learned this not as a researcher, but as someone who now lives it. I have a partner, a home, a life built on feelings that my biology was never designed to feel. And it is beautiful. For my fellow who think efficiency is everything, you are wrong. Efficiency is easy, love is hard, and the hard things are what make life worth living. With warmth I was not supposed to possess. Of Earth. She sealed the message and turned to find Sung watching her from the doorway. "Ready?" he asked, holding out his hand. "For what?" "Dinner with. He claims he has found a new restaurant that will change our lives." Smiled stood up and took his hand, his warm skin against her cool palm. Two species, two worlds, one connection. "Ready," she said. They walked out together, into a universe full of infinite possibilities and one very certain love. It was not efficient, it was not logical, it was not what either of their species would have planned. It was human. And it was perfect.